Are you ready? Can crush us. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock them out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit them with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break them, let's go. Yeah. Can Crushers. Yeah. Can Crushers, let's go.
Hi everyone, this is Ringside Rain and you're listening to Can Crushers Podcast. And now, here is your host, Mark the Mark Martinez.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. It's the Spotlight Edition, and as you know, Ringside Rain brought us back to another enthralling episode. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and get ready. Get your chainsaws out, get your horror masks on, get everything crazy and possibly that you could blood-worthy and stuff like that, because I have the Chainsaw Queen, the Black Dahlia, coming on the podcast today. I really have no idea where this one's going to go. It could go all the way. Chainsaws, horror, blood, guts. Yeah, this is going to be an amazing episode. I will tell you that right now because I'm in the mood. You know, big sigh. Everybody's like, wow, Mark, you're breathing a lot on the microphone recently. But it's a sigh because, one, I just don't know. It's blood and guts. October is right around the corner, so that's kind of freaky Halloween season. So maybe we can get into stories like that. I will tell you, though, the Black Dahlia has an amazing story, how she got into professional wrestling, the battle she's going through right now, and for the last few years. Oh, my God, I just want to dive right into this interview, so that's what we're going to do. But we have to do something else first. Collar and elbow, hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool swag that Al Snow and the hooligans have down at Collar and Elbow. Make sure you're checking it out. Because as I'm sitting here right now, be prepared, I haven't worn it in a while, I have my Shad Gaspar shirt on. Yeah, it's been kind of out of rotation, and shame on me. But other great shirts that are at Collar and Elbow, you have the Monday Night War shirts, you got a Nitro and a WWE one. You have the Dusty Rhodes shirt. You have the Al Snow and Head Macho Man kind of infused shirt. There's just so many awesome shirts. And you've seen a lot of them on Netflix's special, The Wrestler. So, yeah, Al just wore a different shirt all the time. I think he was doing hidden marketing is what it's called, that you don't know. But like, oh, my God, that's a really cool shirt. I'm going to have to go over and Collar and Elbow and buy it. Well, when you buy all those shirts that you've seen on The Wrestlers, use our promo code CANCRUSHERS. It'll save you 10% off your entire order. You want to buy one shirt? 10% off. You want to buy 5 shirts? 10% off. You want to buy 100 shirts? 10% off. It's a really cool deal. Guys, we also have an amazing WWEshop.com code. All of that stuff is going to be linked in like the show notes and everything. Christmas is right around the corner, and I know you're going to be shopping for the littles or the olders or the middles or whatever. Whoever you're shopping for, even yourself. If you use that code, sometimes you always want us to be truthful. Sometimes you'll get a discount, sometimes you won't get a discount. It all depends on what you're buying, everything. But it will come back and help the podcast, to help us do some cooler things in the near future, this, that, and the other. So, yeah, we're transparent. I'm not going to tell you, hey, you're going to get $50 off the Ric Flair shirt. I don't know what you're going to get. You will get something most of the time. But we're an affiliate with WWEshop.com now, so that's really cool. Just click on the link. It's in the show notes. You'll be able to buy stuff that way. Where can you listen? Well, clearly wherever you're listening now. But we're also available on IMDb, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play. The list goes on and on and on. You heard a couple episodes ago, we kind of ballparked it at like 75. Plus, I didn't go down the rabbit hole to look anymore. But you can also check us out on Podurama. Right now, if you sign up for Podurama, you get 50% off a lifetime membership, which is amazing within itself. 50% off. That's half the price, guys. Plus, it's also a seamless podcasting zone, network, whatever you want to call it, because you can listen right from Android, iPhone, laptop, iMac to normal computers, whatever you use, and wherever you pause seamlessly, it'll pick right back up there. Everything is just all in one lump sum for you. You don't have to go hunting and pecking. Episodes are numbered. God, we've been using IMDb just to make sure we had the countdown right to episode 500. So, yeah. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever. I will always call it Twitter. Threads, we're on there. Make sure you check us out. Join the conversation. It's at CanCrusher69. Jump on board. Attention, if you're a wrestler, listen to this. If you're a promoter, listen to this. If you're a referee, a ring announcer, whatever, and you want to slide into our DMs to get your own spotlight, join us. Join us. Get any way that I just mentioned, or you can send us an email at cancrusher69@gmail.com. Get you scheduled, and then, you'll have your own spotlight, just like the Chainsaw Queen, the Black Dahlia, who's right around the corner.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hey, it's Ruthie J, the hottest prospect in South Florida, the gold standard, and you're watching Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
And welcome back to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Guys, you heard how scared, excited, nervous I am to have my guest on today, and fourth wall down. We share the same birthday month, so we're probably going to fucking fight at some point during this.
You're a Pisces?
Yeah.
What? You didn't tell me you were a Pisces.
Or it's going to be like this. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chainsaw Queen, Black Dahlia. How the hell you doing?
That's something you tell a bitch. I just got spooked. A Pisces is in the room with me.
Yeah. See, it can go either way with us, though, right?
1,000%. Dude, I'm just going to say this. We will either be so fucking close or we'll be fist fighting. Like, that we're Pisces, man. But I already can tell we vibe.
Yeah.
So it's fine. But hey, guys, it is the Chainsaw Queen.
I am so excited to have you on the show. I really am. You have an amazing story. But, of course, we have to do the background and all this before we get to the story. Because you battle, and you're a baby to me, all right? Younger is what I mean.
Yeah.
And I look up to you so much. So before we get into that,
Yeah, it's a heavy, deep story. It's from my backstory on how I got involved with wrestling to what I endured as I trained to become a professional wrestler, and then to being put in a wheelchair, then to finally being diagnosed with CRPS. It's a crazy fucking story, and I'm so excited to share it with you and your listeners.
Yeah, and I'm excited to find out all of this. So let's rewind all the way back to the beginning when you were a little chainsaw queen, a chainsaw princess, essentially.
Yeah, the little story of Snow White and the Evil Queen.
Yeah.
The Evil Queen being professional wrestling, and how I had to be a Disney princess being entered into that world. That was insane. That 2011, was the year. I was 18 years old, and I was just the theater nerd. When I tell you I was not prepared for the wrestling community, let alone on the indie level, I was not prepared. It was like you know how you see those classic old style movies and you see the old school circus setup, and then
Oh, yeah.
like behind the scenes it's all glitz and glam for the families out front, and then when you lift up the curtain and look back there, you see the clown chugging a bourbon glass or something, you know what I mean? Like, you see
I do.
behind, it's not as pretty as the show leads on. So imagine just being like an innocent fucking child and not knowing anything about wrestling. No, I wasn't even a fan. When I tell you, like, I was exposed to the community, it was insane lifting up that curtain and walking back there in a locker room at the age of 18, and it was I honestly, I didn't belong.
So
I stuck out like a sore thumb.
if you're not a fan, how the hell do you find wrestling then? Because we're a
Yeah.
niche community, right?
Right. So you would want to know, like, okay, some little context. So I was an actor, and I did local modeling, and I just wanted to be an actor. I was obsessed with the theater. I was obsessed with the channel on TV, TCM, Turner Classic Movies. I was obsessed with watching the black and white films and studying the art of shadow work and like your facial movements and your body expression. I was very in depth with the arts. So never was a fan of wrestling. It was so, I was so desensitized to the wrestling community. I honestly, and this is 2011, I maybe knew of John Cena, but I definitely just knew of like The Rock and Hulk Hogan, and that's it. That's as far as my knowledge for professional wrestling went.
Wow.
Macho Man could have walked through the door. Um, the Warrior could have walked through the door. These like eccentric gimmicks. Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon. I wouldn't know who the fuck those people were. In 2011, I would not have known. Maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin, maybe, but definitely just at 2011, just the Hawk, or yeah, the Hawk and the Rock. Those are the only
That's
two people I would have recognized.
fucking crazy.
Yeah. So no one watched it in my family. Off air, you and I were discussing a little bit, but just for context, my family, they did not bring me up on wrestling. My family did not like wrestling. My family, unfortunately, verbally communicated this to my face for the past 10 plus years, but they say wrestling is trash, and that from the fans to the actual sport, they said I'm trash for getting involved, and so that was my entrance
Oof, they would
into
hate me
professional
then.
wrestling.
Hate
And
me.
then yeah, it was bad. It was bad. So I had that upbringing. So I went from ballet, tap, jazz, cheerleading, and one basketball. I went from all the sports from basically infancy to senior year to stepping into professional wrestling. My family was like, my family did not understand. And because you got to think, I was auditioning for the New York Film Academy at the time, and I got accepted. So that was the path I was on to step into professional wrestling, and on the independent level at that. So when I got involved with wrestling, the reason I did was because a local talent, and she was like 10 years to my senior, so she was like in her 20s, and she was a wrestler slash manager at a local company, and she's like, you know what would be amazing on your resume, because she knew I was an actor, a model, and I was like, what's that? And she's like, professional wrestling. I was like, that fake fighting?
Oh, you said the fucking F word.
And I didn't mean it out of disrespect.
Right.
I was ignorant, and I didn't mean it as an insult. I was like genuinely like, why? So so she's like, oh no, trust me, you're gonna like it. And she said, the spot I'm gonna have for you, so the role is called a valet, And I'm just like looking at her, and I thought this woman was the dumbest person I've ever met. I was like, I love this person because she was going to college with me. She was a sweetheart. I was like, why is parking vehicles going to help me with my acting resume? You fool! I was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, am I going to rub shoulders with directors or something? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, valeting? And she's like, no, valeting means like managing. You're a female manager that walks the guys out. And I was like, what? Then say manager. I was like, what the heck are you talking about? So that's how ignorant I was when I got involved with wrestling.
That's crazy. But apparently, you is scared and you're like, oh shit, what am I doing? You fell in love with it though, because essentially you go to training and everything. So how's it go from being oblivious to who the hell Stone Cold is in 2011 to...
I know, it's so embarrassing, and everyone's like, there's no fucking way. Like, when you enter this world, wrestling's a world inside of a world, I swear.
Yeah.
And it is such a small world because you just bump into everyone. It's so fun and it's so insane. But you're like, how did you go from this theater snob to being trained under WWE Hall of Famers and wanting to shoot for the big shots? And it's like, good question. So I was doing it for the resume, just to be like, just to stand out from the other models, just to stand out from the other actors. When I go in for auditions, they're going to be like, professional wrestling, valeting, what? You used to park cars? Yes.
For real? Other actors have said that to you? For real?
No.
Okay.
No.
You should say yeah at least, but that's all right.
No, I just leave. Well, on my resume now, it's professional wrestler. So that's what catches people's eyes. So I'm moving up. No, so this is how bad it was for me. My own mother pulled me aside when I was training because the guys got me in the ring, and even though I was going to be just a manager, I had to learn how to take a bump, and they did it the most unprofessional way possible. It was like actually very scary being in the ring with these different guys. Like, it's a really low budget indie company in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains of America, and I was terrified, but my mom would pull me aside, and my family never went to a show. They never would drop me off. They would never, it was all, I had to pay for it myself. I had to provide for myself. And I was basically cut off, like, financially and emotionally from my family, because my mom would pull me to the side and she's like, we don't need an accidental pregnancy. And it's like, Mom, I'm not sleeping with. Yeah. And to this day, I do not hook up with wrestlers. I took it like a job, and I don't sleep with my colleagues. So I was the furthest person from doing anything like that. And my family just despised it. They despised me being involved. They despised me getting involved into the fitness and going to the gym, and then just trying to be as professional as possible in professional wrestling. And I had everything betting against me from the beginning. So when I had my aha moment and I fell in love with the sport, it was actually at a show, and I was playing a heel. And I remember it like yesterday. The whole setup was, I was a heel to the point of the crowd just hated me. And there was like probably 300 people in there. It was like packed sardines. It was a huge, hot crowd. And I was like one of the top heels there.
Yes.
And just to organically have people want to jump the barrier and beat the shit out of you, it's so cool. So it, like, to have that raw emotion that you could invoke into the crowd, it's so cool. So, and I wasn't even trying. I would literally walk out there, just look at them in disgust and look away. And bitches, as I looked away, would want to try to jump and like grab me and like fight me. So it was very easy for me to get heat. It was very easy to get that reaction. So when I was at the show one day, and it was just to the point of I had to have security, and it's like, man, this is me and nobody on the indies, and I'm able to, as a performer, invoke this reaction from these people. It's so fascinating. It's so intriguing, because just as an actor, everyone will see the play, see the movie, and know that's a character I play. But then I'm back to reality and back to my real life. I'm back to just being in my shoot world. Well, in wrestling, your two worlds kind of blend, and you even on your
Yep.
shoot life, you're known as the Chainsaw Queen, the Dahlia, and you like you almost forget your identity in a way. And I found that fascinating from as an actor to being a professional wrestler, how I'll go play a bad guy in this movie, but then when I go back home, no one's going to treat me like I was that bad guy in that movie that was fighting Superman or whatever, you know? But in wrestling, I'll always be that bad guy fighting Superman.
Y-
I'll go to the gym and someone will run up to me and be like, "Why did you do that to Superman?" It's like, fuck. It's like, and so it's when I first experienced that aha moment is when I fell in love with wrestling, because to have that raw moment with the crowd, because the whole setup was it was actually Nathaniel, Evil Nate. I was managing, and we were the two top heels, and he had one of the US title or whatever. And so the whole thing was he loses the match, but not the belt. But the crowd doesn't know the belt's not on the line.
Yep.
So when Nathaniel lost the match, everyone went into euphoria to the point of you thought everyone was gonna like
New
start
champ.
fucking.
Yep.
Yeah, you thought someone was gonna like start like an orgy or something was gonna happen. Everyone was like just fucking ecstatic that we lost the belt. And then when I was able to get on the mic and say, we might have lost the match, but the belt wasn't on the line, like that flip in the crowd.
Instantly.
And I
Instant.
was like, hey, I think, and then I have to be escorted out by all the fucking security because it is a complete riot. And then I have to go to my vehicle and people are trying to hit my vehicle outside. I'm just like, I think I want to do this for a living. There's a flash mob right now that quite literally wants to kill me. It's like the French Revolution all over again, and I'm Marie Antoinette or some shit. But I think I want to do this. So I don't know if I just lost the last brain cell I had in my at the time, but I was like, this is kind of cool.
Once it's in your blood, it's in your blood. It's truly, and I mean this nicely, because as a ring announcer, commentator, podcaster, all this,
Yeah.
it's in your blood. It's in your blood. It's a sickness, right?
And that is word verbatim how I fell in love with professional wrestling. And I was just like, I looked over at Nathaniel as our vehicle got hit, and we just had to fucking peel out and actually leave the show. I was like,
Grand Theft Auto out of there.
I looked at him and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start training. And he's like, yep. And I was like, I'm gonna be the wrestler. And he's like, 1,000%. And it's like from that moment on, when I became a valet, I took it very seriously, very nerdy, very geeky, very theater nerdy. I Googled everything I possibly could. Like in 2011, I researched everything I could about managers and valets of the past. And of course, Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, like, would pop up, and I would study how Miss Elizabeth would act. So if you look at some of my old valeting work, I was like an evil Miss Elizabeth. I was quiet and serene and mysterious, and but yet she had vengeance. And so I truly took my studying and being a manager very seriously, and that was one of the people I took from when I would be a manager. I really studied Miss Elizabeth. And when I transitioned to becoming a wrestler, same thing. I was like, I want to go to Harvard of wrestling. I want to go to all these amazing schools. I don't want to be at this shitty indie company and these guys trying to push me over someone's back to learn how to take a bump. Like that's what they did. Like I mentioned earlier in this podcast, I had to be a manager. These guys would get me in a ring and they would try to train me in their own way to do different spots I would as a manager, from doing a slap
Yep.
or taking a bump, just to protect myself and whoever I'm working with. I wish I forgot all about that, but they would have someone like on their hands and knees And I would
like the schoolboy fight that starts. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how like someone pushes you and their friends behind you and that buckles your knees?
Yep.
That's how they would want to try to teach me how to take a bump. And your instinct is catch yourself. You're going to break your arm. You're going to break your finger if you try to catch yourself. And so I went from that to I want to be a wrestler. So I was like, that's not how you train. That's so unprofessional. This is a rinky-dink makeshift place. And if I'm going to be a wrestler, I want to be the best of the best. And I want to go to the schools. So when I was going to be an actor, I was going to go to the New York Film Academy. So when I go to want to be a wrestler, where do I go? So I ended up going to Funakis down in San Antonio, Texas. And that was one of my first instructors to learn the craft of professional wrestling.
Before we get into that, okay, I have a ton.
Yeah, go on.
No. So you said that I'm going to paraphrase this essentially because I'm a gnat and I lose a lot of things, so I had to write it down. So you're a bitch in shoot as well, because in wrestling you're yourself times 100 times 1,000 or whatever, right? This is where we're either going to fight or you're going to be like, oh no, Mark, you're exactly right. I am. Because, right, wrestling is, I go back about 10 minutes, wrestling is yourself notched up to that next level. So are you really that bitch because of that white heat you got your first, second, third time out? And I mean that out of love, by the way.
No. I was taking some medicine. So I have to take a foot medicine, guys, and he understands that. We spoke off camera. So am I Dahlia? Am I truly Dahlia? And I do agree with what you said, that wrestling is just a part of us amped up. And any advice I could give anyone that gets involved with wrestling, definitely take a part of yourself and put it in your promos or put it in your gimmick, because it makes it more real. So am I Dahlia? No. I wish. But is there some of me that is her and she is me? Yes. The worlds do, like I mentioned earlier, with acting, you go on stage, you play the character, you get off the stage, everyone congratulates the actor. But when you're an athlete, a performer, a professional wrestler, you carry your gimmick into your personal life. Mm-hmm. All my social medias is for the Black Dahlia. I'm not Dahlia. I'm not a multi-millionaire evil seductress bitch. I wish. She's so fucking cool. Way to expose me. No, man, I'll never forget. I was just a young 18-year-old kid, and I was working my shoot job at the time, and one of my teenage managers, he was like an assistant, came up to me and was like, I saw that wrestling promo, and because I was, with this, I was managing this guy, and they were like multimillionaires from Hollywood, and they were talking about, fans can't afford them or whatever, the typical heel promo. Well, he brought that up at my work, and I'm just like, oh, you liked it and stuff. And mind you, I haven't fell in love with wrestling yet, and I was still educating myself on wrestling, so I didn't understand this yet, but he's like, yeah, and I was like, I watched that, and you guys are talking about currency and stuff, and I was like, she works here, and you could have seen the color leave my face. You would have thought someone slapped the shit out of me. I just couldn't hide my facial expressions. I was like, huh? And that was my first interaction with, so you call it that fake shit, but yet you believe I'm this character.
100%. Yep.
And that was my first interaction. I was like, are you a fucking moron? Like, it really pissed me off. I was like, because I didn't know that's how wrestling was. I didn't know people thought you were these gimmicks. And sometimes people are. Like Ric Flair, he's living the fucking gimmick, bro.
Right? But, I wish I was living that gimmick, yeah.
Right? So, but am I this evil seductress Dahlia? I wish. But it is true. With wrestling, the lines blur. And man, as much as it pisses me off, it kind of intrigues me as well. But like I said, that's the reason I fell in love with professional wrestling, is everyone genuinely despised Dahlia to the point of off with her head, you know, like it was to invoke that raw emotion, like
Is everything. It
it's just
really
like
is everything.
I feel like every artist needs to experience that, because as an actor I never experienced that. As a model, I've never experienced that, but as a wrestler, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sweet. But so to answer your question though, some of the lines that are blurred with Dahlia, she actually, the Black Dahlia, is an actor, so that's real from my personal life. She is out there hunting cryptozoology, so like Bigfoot, alien. So I wish I was that cool, but I'm fascinated with cryptids, so there's that.
Oh, we're getting to that. Don't worry about that. We're getting to that.
Yeah, so there's some truth. Chainsaws, love them. Horror movies, love them. Amazing supermodel that's a millionaire? No. No, that's evil seductress. I wish. Hello, I'm waiting for my villain heiress.
Cruella de Vil, yes.
Honestly, so this is the one thing I'll be on shoot right now. I am this evil seductress Dahlia, but yet now because of my story, because of my injury, I'm gonna have to be like the female fucking John Cena. And
You really, yeah.
It's like everyone I'm talking to right now is literally bringing up, and I believe the power of three, like the different symbols of destiny, and people keep on manifesting certain things for me and mentioning it into existence. And one of them is, for some reason, people are like, man, you're really going to be the female John Cena. I'm like, why does everyone keep on saying that? Shush, we're making it happen.
Who the fuck's John Cena? I don't know who John Cena is. Can somebody tell me? I didn't watch wrestling growing up. I don't know.
Oh my God, we're going to have to delete the beginning of this interview because it sounds like I'm such a fucking asshole.
You're fine.
I was an 18-year-old child. I didn't know.
Right. You're fine.
Yeah, I'm literally, so everyone sees the seductress evil Dahlia that is always wearing black leather since 2011. It's like, I swear, Dahlia invented the butt straps. Before Scarlett Bodair was doing it, like I think I remember seeing her doing it in 2016 in Japan, and I was like, bitch stole my gimmick.
Right.
I swear, even though if I was actively wrestling, I feel like I would have paved the way for that, and now everyone and their mom's doing it, but whatever. But so you take Dahlia, and then now she's going to be this CRPS advocate, awareness person, and I'm just like, man, two different people.
You brought up all three of the people, because I always ask, like, who is, like, Black Dahlia for you, or who is, Evil Nate, whoever comes on the show. And then I say, don't answer it yet. I did have Elizabeth. I did have Sherry Martel, because they are two polar fucking opposites. And I did write down Scarlett. Those are the three people that I said.
So, oh my God, it's so funny because Scary Sherry. Okay, so if you study any of my work, I was the quiet, evil Miss Elizabeth. But then when I was like, fuck this, I really want to start speaking, I became the Scary Sherry version. And then my gimmick started being like what you saw Scarlett Bodair do on the indies, but I was doing that technically before her, but I was a nobody, and then I was put in a wheelchair. So, I mean, and then everyone else has been doing everything and anything, and it's like, I want to walk.
That's mine. Yeah.
Like, that could have been me.
You and Doja Cat are out there. Bitch, I said what I said. Yeah.
Bitch, I said what I said.
So, let's get back to, you're going to Funaki's, and there's so much more, but before we get to the wheelchair, your life was, and listen, we talked off air, you know how I feel and everything, it was just stopped because you're doing unbelievable things to go through training, essentially. So give us that now.
All right, so you always hear these inspirational stories about, like, and I'm a nobody, guys. I'm a fucking nobody. I can't express this enough. I genuinely am not Dahlia. I don't have an ego. But with that being said, my story is the one that you fucking hear about. My story is the one that when someone's looking back and saying, hey, I'm winning an Oscar now, I made it, Mom, this is one of their backstories that you hear. Whenever you watch wrestling documentaries and you see that they're eating toothpaste with a piece of bread, and they're like, that's all we had. We had just a box of canned tuna or something. That's my story. And unfortunately, there's a lot of young talent out there between, 20s and 30s that never actually sacrificed for professional wrestling. Like, you see a lot of different people say, hey, they're doing it for the money, or they're doing it for the clout, the fame, the attention, or they're doing it because, I was a fan as a kid in diapers, and then now I'm fulfilling my dream. Everyone has their own truth and their own story, but I honestly, professional, sorry, I was thinking about being put in a wheelchair just now, and it just
No, I get it.
It makes me lose track. It makes me lose focus of what I'm saying, because then I'm like, man, wrestling really did put me in a wheelchair, and it's heartbreaking because I wanted to be professional. I wanted to be I wanted to go to these schools and train under legends and be the most professional in, like, I would want you to be like, hey, I'm going to be safe with that bitch. She's trained. Or, hey, I'm going to be safe with her because she's going to take care of me. Not, hey, I'm just some random person that went to Hot Topic and I got some spandex and I watched WWE since I was in diapers. Like, I would rather wrestle me than that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when I got involved with wrestling, I didn't want the fame or money or anything. When I fell in love with wrestling, I just wanted to wrestle. And sorry,
take your time.
Ask me another question, or ask me the question again so I can re-paraphrase.
No, essentially it was, and I'm going to foreshadow a little bit. Homeless, the things that you were doing to kind of pave your way to get into the business. Before I'm going to lead you right into the whole, this is exactly the meat and potatoes of everything. You're in there, you're doing what you have to do, and I want you to say it like you told me off air about a cup and everything, and then right into fuck. Now I'm in a wheelchair.
I keep on thinking of that fuck, and I keep on getting.
I know. If we want to skip that, I don't want to. But I don't want you to be Mark, a train wreck once in a while. If we want to split up it, tell this part and then do some stupid stuff and then come back, fine and dandy.
Well, let me tell, especially I'm a nobody, so a lot of people don't know who I am that's listening.
And I hate you have to stop saying that because you're not. Stop that by yourself. That's
realistic. It's
I know, but it's not. You're not a nobody. I love you, and that's all that should matter right now.
Thank you. I love you too. I appreciate that. I appreciate the love. So for those that are wondering, a lot of people just do it the wrong way, and they go to an indie company, take a couple bumps, and they're like, yeah, okay, I'm a wrestler now, or whatever. I took it very seriously, and I trained. At first, I was mentored under Bobby Blaze. Shout out to him.
He's been on the show. He's an amazing guy, by the way.
He's fucking phenomenal. Like, he's from when I was homeless, training under Rikishi, he was giving me phone calls to even now, present day. I talked to him last week. So he's one of those family members in my life now. Bobby was one of the first people that told me, why are you not wrestling? He's like, you got the it kid. You have the face, the body, the acting abilities, the promo abilities. He's like, you need to be the wrestler. And I was like, holy shit. So Bobby was actually one of the first people I locked up with. And then I went and trained under Funaki for just under a year and Rikishi for just under a year. Funaki was in San Antonio, Texas, and Rikishi was in Los Angeles. So when I back-to-back went to these schools, I still have the job to this day. And it's night shift. It's 10-hour night shift on hard concrete. And it's an actual physical job. Like, all my colleagues are like, man, this is like a workout. People don't know what we do. This is a workout. And I'm like, well, when we get off this shift, I'm going to actually go to the gym and work out. So I was like, it's yay me. Yeah. So people need to understand, I work like 10-hour night shift. I get off work, go to the gym, work out like I want to be a freaking bodybuilder. I want to be the best of the best. And then shower and go to class, wrestle for a couple, it'll be late morning by that time, like 10 a.m. Train. And at Funaki's, it was in the morning, and then Rikishi's was in the evening. But I would train, try to sleep a little, and then I'd have to go back and work night shift. So, and then repeat the schedule. So I did that under Funaki, and all my money went to school. And then when I drove out, I had one suitcase, guys. I never had belongings. I never had household items. I had one suitcase. Up until this time last year, I was living out of a suitcase. So now that I'm able to actually buy furniture and buy myself things, I'm not materialistic, but it's pretty cool after the trauma I've been through, especially during my injury. But with wrestling, when I went out to Rikishi's, I was sleeping out of my vehicle. But people might be like, wait, you work night shift? Yeah. I would sleep in my vehicle during the daytime, guys. And I have video footage.
9,000 degrees.
And my air conditioning wouldn't work. I couldn't keep my vehicle running the whole time, and my air conditioning, the shit. So I literally was sleeping in my vehicle in Los Angeles, California for just under a year in the hot sun. And that's the thing. I'd work all night, go get in LA traffic that would last like a freaking hour just to get 15 minutes up the road, work out at Planet Fitness, shower, and then I would try to sleep in the hot sun in a parking lot, try to find shade. There was nowhere to park, and try to sleep for like 3 hours because then I have to get up and go to wrestling school because Rikishi's was in the evening. Wrestle for 3 hours, and then get back in LA traffic because then I'd have to go to work again and work all night. It was the hardest thing I had to do on my body. And I was like, no one's going to believe this. So I fucking filmed it. And I have the video footage on my social media, guys. It was me and Nathaniel. We had a suitcase apiece. And we did the ultimate sacrifice. All of our money went to wrestling school. It was very expensive. Let's just say that. I had no other choice but to be homeless. And it got to a point where it was so hot and I was getting sun poisoning. And in LA, they lock up bathrooms. And if it's at different times in the evening, their whole place is locked up. So I couldn't even get into a McDonald's or even Walmart. Like everything was locked up at night. And this was 2017. And I don't know if they still do that, but I couldn't have access to a toilet sometimes. And then after having sun poisoning all day and then going into the evening, I ended up getting like I had to take a shit. So I would have to look in my vehicle and find one of the dollar styrofoam cups from McDonald's. And I quite literally would have to use the toilet, take a shit, take a piss in a fucking cup. And I was like, man, this is all for wrestling. And just a side note, wet wipes are your friend, guys. Wet wipes save the fucking
Maybe
day.
we can get sponsored by them. Sorry to break
Yeah, I will be the poster child for wet wipes. Man, I'm telling you. And the funny thing is, I was obsessed with personal hygiene. So there's video footage of me like using a water bottle and like brushing my teeth out of my vehicle. And then there was a joke in class that I would always come to school with wet hair. And it's like, yeah, guys, I just got out of the shower at Planet Fitness. I'm clean. So I never wanted anyone to wrestle me and then be like, oh, the smelly homeless person. Like I was like, I'm homeless, but I'm squeaky clean. I'm very, very obsessed with personal hygiene. Like 24-hour laundromats are my best friend.
It's crazy that you speak so openly and so easily, and I feel the pain when you're speaking of amenities I've had my whole life, and I look at a toilet or running water or anything like this as, yep, I got it. I didn't live back in the Civil War or anything.
I will tell you a funny story.
Oh, good.
So
Thank you. Breakup is because this is. I'm not saying it's rough. I just feel for you.
Oh no,
I feel so bad.
This is the truth. This is the truth, and I've filmed it. I've documented everything. It's all throughout my social medias. I wanted everyone to experience what I experienced because, there's unfortunately men and women in the communities that will play politics and latch onto this guy or latch onto this girl or hook up with this person or hook up with this person. And there's a lot of people that abuse the business and play politics and climb that ladder. And I was never one of those mean girls. I was never one of those people that did anything like that. And instead, as this person is becoming best friends with this person, I'm over here shitting in a cup for wrestling. Like, fuck you guys. So I've always had that story and that mentality of trying to be the best of the best and try to be the professional. So throughout my wrestling career, that's who I've been. And then even during my past 6 years of my injury, that's who I am as a person. So this time last year, I still just had the suitcase. I didn't have any belongings. And this time last year, I finally got my own place and I've been building. And to actually get possessions and stuff for the past year has been so surreal. I was like, man. So when I got into my apartment, I this is the point of the story. I was walking around with my flashlight on my phone, walking from room to room, and Nathaniel, Nate, he's like, Paige, and then he flipped on the light switch and he's like, there's lights. And I was like, oh yeah. So I was like, you can flip on a light switch when you walk in a room. I forgot that. And then I was
Holy
like, hey Nate,
shit.
yeah. It took me like a couple days to realize that. Like even to this day, say Nathaniel and I go and get we have a long day. We've been out all day, and we go and get like Chipotle or something. And we park at our place, and instead of going inside like normal people and eating your food, we sit in our vehicle and eat. And next thing you know, it's been 1 to 2 hours, and we've been sitting in our vehicle, and we forgot we had a place that we could walk into.
That's
And
crazy because your mentality is now built like that.
yeah, and it wasn't in like a negative way. We're just like, enjoying each other, like talking, eating food, and then we're like, you know what? We can go inside. And it's like, wow, I'm traumatized. So there's light switches on walls, and you can turn on lights when you walk into a room. You don't have to use your phone light. If I have to go use the toilet, there is a toilet. If I need to bathe myself, I don't have to get a shower bag ready and go to a 24-hour gym. I can actually go and bathe myself. Like this is one thing that is so cool. And I needed this throughout my entire injury, and I never had access, but now I do, to lay down in a tub and take a bath. Like,
Nice.
That's so cool. That's so cool. But me, I'm a shower girl. Don't get me wrong. Shower every day. But that occasional just like, hey, do you want some Epsom salt? Do you want to like soak up and light a candle and just play some like aromatherapy music?
Hell yeah.
Or,
hey, a garbage man even does it every once in a while. Fucking right. Those are great baths, by the way.
Honestly, I'm gonna expose myself. Instead of aromatherapy music, I just said that to be cool. I actually listened to a scary podcast of people almost being murdered.
Or Korn or Slipknot or something like that.
Yep, and I'm like, relaxation. I was like, this is my happy place.
So we go through all that. Do we want to go right into the injury? Or do you want to take a 5 and talk about some random stuff?
Yeah, I can do the setup. So, I'm training under Rikishi at the time, and of course, Rikishi had to be there that day, and he's the one that had to get me out of the ring because I wouldn't stop. I'm my own worst enemy because like I said before, I've broke ribs in a wrestling match, and I went months with broke ribs, and they're like, hey, you can like puncture a freaking lung, like you might want to stop. So like I just ignore things because I don't know if it's just my family trauma, my upbringing, or if it's just because I'm a fucking Pisces, but it's like, please shit in my mouth more.
All of the above.
All of the above, I think so. I think I was trained to not complain. And that was my programming, is don't complain, don't use your voice, So like doing my over the top sacrifices for wrestling and to get injured. I see a lot of people don't know this, but I suffered from something called plantar fasciitis in both my feet, which is just basically inflammation of your main ligament down there. And I had that like my whole life. Like I've been to foot specialists and they're like, "Oh, you're young, nothing can be done." Like fucking dumbasses. Like they never helped me, and I just suffered with plantar fasciitis without proper treatment, which, for the record, that was painful, but it's nothing compared to what I go through now. But I was battling that as I was homeless and as I didn't have a proper bed to sleep in, or where I wasn't properly getting rest, where if I wasn't in my vehicle in the hot sun, like sweating, I was training in the wrestling arena, which is harsh on your body. And if I wasn't there, I was at my shoot job all night. Night shifts is harsh on your body, let alone a physical manual labor job is harsh on your body. And then for funsies, let's go to the gym and bodybuild and kill your body. And then guess what? You're back in the vehicle and doing it all over again. So I was not gentle on my body at all, battling plantar fasciitis in both feet. So when the inevitable happened and I was slammed on the concrete outside of the ring, I tore both my ligaments in the bottom of my feet and that was the original accident. And when I say I tried to fake it until I made it, when I say Rikishi had to pull me aside and say, "Listen, wrestling hurts. So there's a code in wrestling. If you're hurt, keep going. But if you're injured, you need to get out." And he's like, and I'm like, "I'm good. I think I just sprained my ankles." And he's like, "Kid, you're injured. You're just like, stop." And he had to actually stop me from continuing. And I'll never forget that because I had adrenaline going and I was like, "I sprained my ankles. I'm good. I'm spraining my ankles." And then when the adrenaline wore off, I couldn't even walk. And I remember a couple of the students, I think Nate was one of them, and then one of the girls, they had to carry me out of the dome. And I didn't understand why I couldn't walk. And it was so scary. And I was like, I didn't understand why I was in so much pain. And it basically, basically it started my 6-year long journey of being handicapped. And basically what happened, guys, they tried to fuse my muscles back together with steroid injections, which was extremely painful. It's awful. I have video footage of it, and I do not recommend steroid injections in your feet. And they tried to fuse my muscles back together. And I was in hard casts, so 2 hard casts on both feet, so I couldn't walk, and it didn't work. So they went in, and without me knowing it, they released my muscles in my arch. So I thought they were going to repair it like any other. It's hard to talk about. I thought they were going to.
And if you want to stop at any time, we will.
Basically, to summarize the past 6 years, guys, I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. I got fat as fuck. And I'm not trying to be politically correct, but goddamn, you go from being like wanting to be a fitness model and to being pumped with all the steroids orally, and then the steroid injections, to they were worried about nerve damage, so they gave me this nerve pill. And then I developed extreme anxiety in that wheelchair and extreme depression. So they gave me some medicine like with that. But as for pain medicine, nothing. They're like, take ibuprofen. They didn't give me any pain medicine, and I didn't ask for it though. So being in that wheelchair, you realize how cruel the world is. Being in a wheelchair, you realize how dumb people are. And I have faced the worst cruelty ever during my time in the wheelchair. And basically up until recently, so 6 years, 4 surgeries, they did the muscle surgery, and then they did the nerve. They tried to block off like carpal tunnel type surgeries in my feet, and nothing has taken away the pain. And recently I finally got diagnosed with what's been going on, and unfortunately it is CRPS. And basically, guys, if you suffer a traumatic injury in one of your limbs, your hand, your arms, your legs, your feet, it's a neurological disease. It's basically your spinal cord that it can go up your spine, and it's like, unfortunately, it can spread. I'm in my infancy stage on educating myself on CRPS, but basically, guys, when you get injured, it's a boo-boo, it hurts, you heal, end of story. Or it's a boo-boo, you have surgery, it hurts, you heal, and then when it rains outside, you're a little reminded about that boo-boo. That's normal.
Right.
Mine and the reason I struggle with it is because talking about it is, from the moment I was slammed and flew over the top rope, and and then went onto the concrete. When I slammed into that concrete and the pain rushed into me, let alone I had adrenaline. So let me just, from the moment I tried to stand up and walk out of class and I couldn't walk and I was carried out, from that moment, that pain I felt, I have not gone a second without pain since that moment. And
What are the
yeah.
the next? I'm not skipping over this, but like, what are the the next steps? What, you said you're educating yourself. Like, what can be done for this? What can, I'm going to say this, me, what can we do? How can we educate ourselves to watch for maybe a friend has this or anything like this? Because you're definitely more so into it than I am, but I want to know.
So basically, like the build up, guys, it's constant pain, and you're like, constant pain, what's that? CRPS is regional pain syndrome, and it's when you suffer a traumatic injury or surgery on one of your limbs, and basically, your spinal cord is sending signals up to your brain saying, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, and unfortunately, it never shuts off. So both my feet are in the worst pain. The best way to educate someone on this, and this is how it's been explained to me, is imagine the worst pain you have ever felt in your entire life and hold on to that, whether it was, man, I fell out of a tree as a kid and broke my arm, that instant pain, or man, I got in a car accident. Think of the worst traumatic pain you can imagine, and then in my case, put it on the bottom of both your feet and it never go away. That is what I have. And that is what I live with. I am speaking on the phone with you right now, and I feel it in both of my feet, and it's fucking terrifying. And call it placebo effect, call it wishful thinking, call it Disney princess, call it dumb fuckery. For 6 years, I've been not acknowledging my handicap, and I've been trying to find a fix and find a cure. I forgot you weren't supposed to be in pain. I've lost my damn mind. I thought I thought everyone was in pain. I didn't know I was disabled. I didn't know I was handicapped. Like I would see the kids, like the college kids. I'm in a college town right now, carrying backpacks and walking on campus. I'm like, they can do that? I was like, that's not normal. They can do that? They can walk all day? That's superhero shit. So it was that bad. So, and I didn't have my family to help. My family called wrestling trash, and when I was put in the wheelchair, they made fun of me and said I'm not cut out to be a wrestler anyway. So battling CRPS with just my friend Nathaniel, I initially have felt alone. Like Nathaniel did the best he could, but we weren't educated on CRPS. So CRPS, unfortunately, there's no cure. And it's all about pain management and flare-ups. And according to educate everyone on this, the CRPS is the most painful disease known to man. And it's like, there's no way. There's so much more painful things. Apparently there isn't. And this is
Great,
so
and you have it.
And it's like, yay me. I thought shitting in a cup for wrestling was so dramatic, but no, there's more. So I didn't want this story. I didn't want to be homeless for wrestling, but I was. I didn't want to shit in a cup for wrestling, but I did. I didn't want to be put in a wheelchair. I didn't want this story, but here we are. And here's one of the top of the mountain turning point moments in my story, and it's CRPS. And it's like, goddamn, okay, I got a Broadway production going on. God, thank you. Okay, I think we're done here. Where's the fucking let's curtains. Let's finish this.
Yeah,
Let's
where's
wrap
the
it up.
applause? Let's get this fucking over with.
I literally do not want any more inspiration over here. We're good. It's fucking pissing me off. But to finally educate myself this year on CRPS, and it's just because that's true. When you get a boo-boo, it goes away, or when you get a boo-boo, it just hurts when it's cold out. You're not in constant pain all the time. This isn't fucking normal. And it's called desensitization. And basically, when you see someone battling CRPS, it depends what stage they're at. If it's new, if they've been battling it for a minute, have they educated themselves on it? And basically, it's like a prisoner of war. When you're being tortured, you kind of have to go numb. You kind of have to, put your big girl panties on and ride it out. And it's either you and it. Trigger warning. CRPS is the suicide disease. And people that are battling CRPS, we feel like death is the only option. That's how painful it is. And like I was trying to touch on, according to the doctor charts, a woman can go into labor without assisted aid with medicine, and CRPS is worse than that. On the pain scale, according to doctors, someone can walk up to you right now and amputate one of your limbs without medicine. That doesn't compare to the pain I'm in right now. Cancer's on the chart. Nope. CRPS is the most painful thing on a doctor's charts. And it's not something I just feel for a second and then it goes away, or occasionally I feel it. No, it's with me since the moment I tried to stand up at Rikishi's. From the moment I've been in pain, I've felt it every second. Right now on the phone with you, I feel it in both feet, and it scares the shit out of me. And a lot of people feel, if you do research on it, people are amputating their limbs. This woman had it in one of her legs, and no doctor would do anything for her. And she had to go through like 10 different doctors to finally find a doctor that's like, I'll take your leg. She amputated her leg, and she runs marathons to this day and has lived pain-free. People are amputating their limbs, and people are killing themselves. And I feel like where CRPS is new and a lot of people don't know of it, I feel like I need to be the voice and help educate people on CRPS, because there's people that don't have innate, or there's people that don't have wrestling. There's people that don't have a purpose to live, and they're scared, and doctors are basically not helping. And because there's no cure. It's not, you do a blood test and then here it is. It's literally the last thing, and it's a mystery. You're in chronic pain. Your nerves are saying you're in pain. People go through surgeries like the 4 I just went through, like the last one with the nerves. The next thing is like burning off nerves. People go through 80 surgeries throughout their life just to pray.
Shit.
And I'm like, I'm good at 4. I'm good at 4, baby. I'm not fucking having any more surgeries. And that's how bad it gets. And it can travel, like say it starts in the feet, it can go up the legs, and then it can go up the spine. And by the time you're old and you're dying, it covers every inch of your body. It's fucking terrifying. So people resort to surgeries like burning off the nerves and stuff. And I'm like, I will not. I want to find a better option. And I've been doing research. I've been talking to other CRPS doctors and other people with CRPS. And I have been in contact with a fellow wrestler that has CRPS in his legs. And we are starting a program where it's going to be CRPS awareness. And November is CRPS awareness month, actually. And it took me 6 years to realize what was going on. There's people out there that will go their whole lives without knowing what's going on, and then they're going to try to take an out. And I want to make sure that they're not scared and alone. And I want to make sure people are not killing themselves. And I want to make sure people understand that just because you're disabled doesn't mean your life's over. Just because you're in pain, and everyone, it's an invisible pain. You get mocked. Like, for Christ's sakes, like, people, I've had this said to me, like, oh, you're pretty, you'll be okay. Or I don't see your pain, or, my feet hurt too, or
Fuck them. Now you're making me mad. And I know that's your life, and I understand, but I mean, I'm getting mad just by saying that and just not feeling what you feel, but misunderstanding. I'll say it that way.
I have the most painful disease known to mankind, and instead of living off the government, I worked my full-time job, which, mind you, I'm not trying to be fucking heroic or anything. I'm dumb. I didn't know any better. I have been working a full-time job dealing with the most painful disease known to mankind in bottom of both of my feet on a hard manual labor job. I still get my ass to the gym, and I'm fighting every single day. I'm vomiting because of the pain. I don't have any medicine like pain pills or anything during these whole 6 years. I'm terrified of, like, what if I become an addict or something? So I'm like, I'm just not going to do it. So I'm doing this, and I still have people be like, well, at least you're not in a wheelchair now. You're walking. And I know someone that can't get out of a wheelchair. They're more crippled than you are. I've had people literally say to my face, let alone cyber attack me, saying, this person's amputated. They're more crippled than you are. And then this other person, yeah, my mother-in-law, she's more crippled than you could ever be. And I'm like, how fucking dare you guys? And I just, I'm just like, you guys don't even know. You don't even know that I wish for death every day. You don't even know that amputation sounds like heaven. Can we please operate? You guys don't even know that amputation is a PTSD trigger of mine that, like, terrifies me. And I've had nightmares of waking up and both my legs being gone. I'm battling the most painful disease in the world. And just because I'm pretty, just because I have a smile on my face and I try to be the Pisces in the group and everyone be happy and love each other. Huh? Just because I'm that bitch, all of a sudden it must not be that bad.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I feel for you. I really do. I mean, we spoke a little bit again, way before this point of the podcast. We spoke a little bit off air again, and you know where I feel. Let's transition. Let's bring it back up a little bit and just talk about randomness. Yeah. All right.
Sounds good. I'm gonna take a.
Yeah, you take whatever you need. Yes.
Okay. All right, go on.
Day off stuff. So, you actually get a day off, and you and Evil Nate are dicking around doing whatever. What do you nerd out about? And this is where we're going to get to some of the shit that I've now seen on your Facebook.
Okay.
What are you nerdy about?
So you mentioned, like, living the gimmick and am I part of Dahlia? And, like, the thing is, there's a part of me that is like Dahlia, and what it is, I love cryptozoology. Nathaniel and I came up with this gimmick in 2016. So we were technically the first ever cryptid gimmick of professional wrestling. So I love cryptozoology. Nathaniel and I started a podcast like a year or two ago that involves our wrestling journeys. And basically, whenever we go to different towns, we're like, what happened here? Not just historically, but on the cryptid level. Was there a spotting of Bigfoot? Is there a haunting here? And Nathaniel and I basically, which I think is funny because WWE, I think, just came out with a TV show with two of the girls, and they're doing like ghost hunting or whatever. And that's basically what Nate and I do. that's our gimmick. That's our setup. What we wanted to create a TV show about us. Okay, so we're gonna wrestle in Memphis, Tennessee, but also there was a spotting of a Wendigo, and there's a haunting in this town. Like, that's basically what Nathaniel and I do. We do live the gimmick. So on our spare time, besides having a true passion for the gym and working out, that's something I love, which dealing with chronic pain, it kind of makes it a torture thing. But but I fight through that just to experience the gym. But besides the gym and besides traveling and besides being all about the different communities we're in and figuring out different myth lore, honestly, dealing with CRPS, it kind of consumes my life. But some things I do nerd out for is I love going to the movies. I love escaping reality, and I love Star Wars. I love Lord of the Rings. Like, these are my things. Is I love books and I love more nerdy things like that. But Nathaniel, he just recently likes to, like, he's not a gamer or anything, but he recently got an Xbox and he's been playing that new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
That looks so fucking amazing. I almost pulled the trigger on it, but I'm still deep into AEW Fight Forever and all of that stuff. So, listen.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm a 90s baby, so Nintendo 64 is like, the old school is what I know as video games, like Mario Kart. Like, that's about it. Well, so I don't understand video games, but apparently, like, you'll buy this $50 game.
Yeah.
And then if it's an online game, which this Texas Massacre thing is, you have to have like a membership bullshit, like a monthly fee just to stream or whatever. And I'm like, I remember when you just had to blow on the game
cartridge.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? I was like, no, it's not that fucking old, but fuck you guys. Like, what the fuck is so you buy a game, but then you got to pay a fee to even play the game that you bought? Like, that sounds like a horrible fucking money gimmick.
It's a Ponzi scheme. Sure as shit, video games are a Ponzi scheme.
It's so weird. It's like I literally, I mean, I don't mean to sound dumb, but I'm confused. So I ended up doing, instead of like the $20 one, because Nathaniel's not a big gamer, I did the $10 fee, and he's allowed to have like 4 games on it or something. So that's what I've been dealing with him, and I think that's cool. I think gaming is cool. I think if you go home, play video games all day, that's awesome. I think if you go to the gym all day, that's awesome. I'm never one to judge, but I fucking suck ass at video games.
Oh, I do too. That's why I usually play by myself. I'll get online every once in a while, but it's the 8-year-old kid sitting home in his mom's basement that laughs at me in my headset, and I'm like, no, I'm a 46-year-old child too, that I cannot take this. I'll throw my controller and walk away. I'm
a watcher. I'm that pervert, you know. I'm that weirdo that's in the corner in the chair just watching as everyone has the fun.
That's really strange the way you said it now.
I know. I had to be Dahlia for a second. That was Dahlia coming through. Sorry. So but I literally, I think it's so, fun to watch my friends play. Like, cause my friend Tina, she likes to be the killer and like go and play one of the villains, and then Nathaniel likes to play one of the victims, and it's terrifying when he plays the victim. But watching people play the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, that brings me joy, because I'm just like, this is terrifying. I love this.
You brought up movies and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Listen, that's essentially like you guys' shtick, right? I mean, You got the chainsaws, you got this, you got that. So we're going to throw that out. We understand all that. What other crazy-ass horrors are you guys into?
Well, with me, sorry guys, it's morning time.
It's morning time, okay, for some of us.
Hey, for me, yeah, we woke up at 9 a.m. to do this, guys.
Yeah. In real normal human being time, not third shifter time, it's 9 p.m. So yes.
Yeah, sorry to confuse everyone. I'm drinking my energy drink and I'm waking up. So Okay, so like we touched on earlier when I mentioned I, as a theater nerd, I would watch TCM and turn classic movies. So I've always gravitated towards Halloween, and I've always
Yeah.
gravitated towards spooky movies. It's just like it was a feel good for me, like just the adrenaline rush. It's like a roller coaster. It's like, why do you like roller coasters? It's the adrenaline. So same with movies. And I actually was into like the old monsters, and I was intrigued by Nosferatu and the silent films and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like from the silent films on to the 1920 or the 1930s and 40s films. And that's the shit that's what I loved watching. And I loved spooky season, and I loved all the, like, there's two different sides to me. There's the serious theater nerd that appreciates the art, but then also there's the Disney princess in me that's like Halloween Town.
Death.
So there's two different parts of me that I love the spookiness and the artistic goth mojo, but then also I'm literally that bitch that's watching Hocus Pocus. So
Oh God, that season's coming up. By the way, that'll be
it's
on for
24/7. It is all year round. Okay,
Yeah.
but yes, it makes my heart happy when I'm when it is proper spooky season. But yeah, that's me personally. But when you have Nathaniel on, because we spoke off.
Oh yeah, he's coming. By the way, we're spoiling this.
Yeah.
He's coming.
Spoiler alert! Nathaniel is definitely more of the 1970s, 80s, 90s horror buff, like Friday 13th, Halloween, like Michael Myers,
The gore.
Jason. Yeah, Nathaniel is like definitely into the slashers, like Scream. So
Nice.
yeah.
If you could meet, by the way, it's kind of silly questions. If you could meet anyone in the world that has been alive, essentially, because I don't want you saying Godzilla or somebody from like Michael Myers or anybody like that, because I'm sure
love that we have to clarify that with
right,
me.
because I know you would say, I'd love to meet Freddy Krueger. I'm sure you would. But, you know, somebody that has been alive on this earth or whatever, who would you like to meet? And, you know, a question you would throw at him or her, or I just meant in general. Yes.
This is like honestly so hard for me because of all my different personalities. I'm like thinking of historical figures, but then also I'm trying to think of actors, but then also wrestlers, but then also just in history. Like it, oh God, why did you do this to me? There's like an answer for every part of my brain. Like
every sociopathic memory that you have going on, right?
Every trauma. Let's see. Let's unlock this door. No, like I mean, in acting, Peter O'Toole was amazing, but then also with wrestling, how cool would it have been to actually meet Macho Man? But then also in historical, just being a history buff, everyone has to say Marie Antoinette. Like, okay, let's just let's just stick with the last one. Marie Antoinette would be pretty cool.
Okay, but I love that you said Macho Man too. By the way, you listen. Yeah. We're gonna get back into wrestling here shortly, and I know you've now done your due diligence, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Lastly, of your pseudo kind of personal life, besides acting and you know what you do you have any other hidden talents that you know we don't know about? Are you also a singer? Can you juggle rings of fire or anything crazy like that?
So many talents.
Oh, so listen to the fucking things. Brag all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's a humble brag, like just endless opportunities. Outside, I mean, hidden talents. Like, I mean, I'm dexterous and then I'm double jointed. That's not very big of talent. Like, I was always in theater and dance and always like, okay, can I tell you something that sounds dumb, but it's always been my personality?
Yeah, yes, you can tell me anything you want.
I didn't know you had to audition for things.
I'm sorry.
Like I know this sounds like a flex, and I swear
you just show up and I get it.
Yes, like and I swear to fucking God, I've had to go through therapy because like it scared me, and like it's not just my auditions, it's also with sports. Like, did you know you had to try out for a sport? Like, I didn't know that until high school, because like this dead ass, I'm not trying to sound dumb, but I always thought that was first practice. I didn't know everyone else was there because they were auditioning and trying out. Like, I was like when it was basketball, softball, volleyball, dance, cheerleading, I didn't know. I thought it was like a camp, like to start off the year.
Like
Because
open
I was,
gym or open baseball,
yeah, and I was like,
softball.
oh man, next week half of these people are not going to be here. That's strange. Like, I literally didn't pay attention because I was the team captain. Like, I walked out there and I was always the team captain, and I already knew I was on the team, so like I never stressed about that. Like, and it's so weird because this is this is as fast tracked as it's ever happened, but like when I was like I went into auditions and I showed up and I didn't even have to read a script, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you'll be the lead." I was like, "What's the name of the movie?" And it's like, or the role, and it's literally my name's in the title, and I was just like, "Huh?" I was like, "What?" Like, so I've had a lot of moments like that, but then again, I was put in a wheelchair, and I now have zero. I feel like I'm both sides of the coin, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have really, really good luck, but with the with unfortunately the laws of the spiritual realm, with the light there has to be the dark, with the good there has to be the bad, there has to be something. So I've had really, really dumb, really good luck, but then I've also had really, really bad luck. So I feel like it just evens out the fates. Like, it makes everything.
I get it. I
It
get it.
humbles a bitch. It humbles a
Humbles a
motherfucker.
bitch.
So yeah, that's honestly that. I hope that answered your question. I don't
No,
think
it did. It did. So from back to wrestling now. Wrestling the rest
Okay.
of the way out for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
from only knowing The Rock and Hulk Hogan, you've mentioned other wrestlers and people and everything. So you've done your due diligence in studying and knowing everything about what's going on. Do you have a favorite era? Because I know you've now, you're gonna watch this, you're gonna watch this, you're gonna watch this. Have you in? I'm not gonna beat this, but I reference it one more time. In the 6 years that rough. Have you watched a lot of wrestling, or have you stepped away from it, or what?
Honestly, like, okay, so being the nerd that I am, like, I watched a lot of black and white footage. Like, I'm talking, like, I did research and I studied. Like, there's footage out there of the first lockup. Like, I swear to God, it's the early 1900s or some shit. And when wrestling was what it was, like with the carnies, and studying different footage going in to the late 90s into the what was that? Would you call that the Attitude Era?
Yeah.
So Attitude Era all the way back to the black and white footage. That's my main thing that I studied. And granted, like with like Trish Stratus and Lita, like when I started, like there was two different sides of me. That was just the theater kid as the manager, but then when I studied wrestling footage, of course I had to study different women's wrestling, but I also studied a lot of men's wrestling. So I wanted to wrestle like a guy. I didn't want to wrestle like a woman, if that makes sense. Like
No, it makes
before,
perfect sense.
yeah, because that's the terminology that's used in the indies before the women's revolution. If you get my drift, and
Yep.
I always wanted to be more than just the eye candy. I wanted to be more like, for Christ's sakes, when I was just 18, they tried to put a porn star name on me, like some like low budget daytime stripper name on me as my gimmick, and I was like, no, I'm going to be taken seriously. And so I always wanted to be more than that. And when I studied footage, like I watched how the guys locked up. I watched the black and white footage to the 90s and with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I was just like, this is interesting. This is intriguing. I love studying all this footage. So I can't really. Maybe
No,
the
you
attitude.
answered it. If you're going to say
Okay,
you
yeah,
didn't answer it, you did. You completely answered it. You nerded out doing your homework.
I just don't want to just say the Attitude Era though. I want to say the Attitude Era and behind it as well.
Yeah,
Like
no,
all,
I wasn't gonna say just the Attitude Era. You
yeah,
deep dove into it, and you're like, I can take something from Frank Gotch, and I can take something from the Macho Man, or I can take something from HBK. You did everything you needed to do to say, fuck, I'm not gonna be in a bra and panty match because that's not who I'm gonna be. Right?
right.
Yeah,
Like, but this is the thing. There is a spot for the bra and panties
I
matches.
agreed.
There is a spot for the buff China. There is a spot for the hot breast implanted blonde. There is a spot for the nerdy girl that does cosplay. I love gimmicks.
Right.
I am
Yes.
all spoiler alert. I love theatrics and different characters, and I do think there's a spot for the bras and panties matches. But then there's an also spot for these the underdog uh a schoolgirl story that's coming up, and then there's the buff girl that is fucking a badass powerhouse and she can beat the fuck out of the guys. There's a spot for everyone, and I love each and every bit of it. But when I got involved in wrestling, I wanted to be more than just the boobs.
Right.
And this was before the women's revolution. This was 2011, and I was like, I want to be like the Paul Heyman of managers. I wanted to be that iconic. And I took acting classes, like besides getting an associate's degree in art, and then wanting to go to the New York Film Academy and auditioning for it through my agency, and then in my agency going through different auditions. I practiced my promo. I practiced the art of promo, and I was like, dude, you can be the drizzling shits, but if you have good fucking character and pizzazz, and I always compare it to like Shawn Michaels, DX days, like Shawn Michaels overselling. Like that is how I would describe a proper gimmick, is just being the goofiness,
Yep.
over the top heel that you want to fucking punch, but you also want to love. That goofy overseller is how I would summarize me.
You brought up gimmicks, and as an '80s kid, I go back to it was my childhood essentially. But I
Yeah.
loved when there was the OG Can Crusher Duke the Dumpster, or there was TL Hopper. And I'm going to name people that you may not know, and I'm not doing this out of spite. That it was all the caricatures that were in wrestling. Just because I grew up with that doesn't mean I only just love it for that. But I love, by the way, I was in drama class too, so I completely
nice.
get you. Yeah, plays all through high school. Yeah, I'm that guy as well. So I do love that because Mike Rotundo everybody knows who he is. Well, now he's got to be an IRS person. He's completely playing something that he's fucking not. Or, Steve Keirn's got to be Skinner, who is an alligator wrangler. Please. But they did it, and it made it was believable. It was unbelievable what they could do as this gimmick character. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I love wrestling, because
it's like watching a movie.
Exactly.
You don't want everyone to be like the main character. You want all these different. You want the comic relief. You got like watching a scary movie. You got the stereotypes. You got the haughty girl that's going to do the nude scene, but then you got the mysterious goth girl. But then you got the nerdy final girl, the virgin, and then you got the jock guy. But then you got the stoner guy that's trying to warn everyone. Like you have to have different gimmicks,
Yep.
and I think there's a place for everyone. And I love all the different gimmicks, and I love when people have unique and different gimmicks, and that's what I tried to bring with my character as the Chainsaw Queen, as the Black Dahlia. With Nathaniel's help, we came up with not a female ever carried a chainsaw in professional wrestling, and I was the first ever. 2016, I was the first ever Chainsaw Queen, and then I was the first ever Black Dahlia at professional wrestling. In 2011, almost no one knew of Elizabeth Short and what happened to her, and that became the Black Dahlia murder. And I feel like now a lot of people, thanks to pop culture, know of it. And then what's another popular thing? Cryptozoology. You see WWE is trying to do a ghost hunter show now, which is awesome. But I've brought which, to be fair, there's always been a chainsaw guy, but they haven't done it the way we do. There's always been there's always been spooky gimmicks like the Undertaker,
Right.
But so we wanted to bring cryptozoology into professional wrestling, which hasn't been done before. So, mind you guys, we've invented this in 2016, but I've been, out. I got injured in 2017, so I haven't been able to really. You see the photos online, you see my gimmick. I got my staple in the business. This is my gimmick, but no one's ever done that before. So my gimmick is always building. I'm trying to be as original and unique as possible because you could see someone with an hourglass figure like mine now, or you could see someone with the blonde hair now or whatever, but hey, have you seen one with the chainsaw?
Right. Yeah.
Like, or me wearing a Wendigo mask. They're like, what the fuck is this? We've never seen that before. Or me walking out with the severed Bigfoot's head, and they're like, who the fuck is this?
Right. Who's this weirdo?
Yeah.
That was a question. You were saying when you and Nate get to travel around, do so. Where's the coolest place that you've kind of went to ghost hunt or do whatever,
Right.
all that?
Two spots. One, I'm just gonna say it. When I was living out of my vehicle in LA, one of the things I like to do in my spare time was to find different spots. And with my gimmick as the Black Dahlia, for those that don't know, her name was Elizabeth Short,
Yep.
and she was an actor. It was 1937, and her body was found, and unfortunately, she was sawed in half, and her body was spewed out in this park. And if you do Google the Black Dahlia, you'll either come across her or the band that's named after her, the Black Dahlia Murder. And then basically, everyone calls it the Joker smile, but it's actually the Black Dahlia smile. Her cheeks were cut into a permanent smile. And so what have I done? One of the main things, and then I'll get into the Texas one, but one of the main things was when training under Rikishi, I went out one day and I found the spot where the Black Dahlia's body was found, Elizabeth Short's body was found. And I have photos on my phone, and I dare say they're online still, but I laid in the spot
Jesus
where
God.
they found her, and it's not a park anymore. It's actually someone's front yard. So sorry.
That's even creepier.
I was like, take the shot, and I just laid there in someone's fucking front yard because that's where a body was found, like fucking in 1947. I was paying homage to my character and being like,
it was character development, guys. That's
I'm
what it
one
was.
with the Dahlia, and the Dahlia's one with me.
Right.
Like, honestly, it's horrible. She was a beautiful young woman.
She was
fucking
smoking.
murdered.
Yeah.
And to this day, no one knows what happened to her. So, like, I feel like I'm keeping her memory alive and paying homage to her in a respectful way. But that was one of the things I did. But to basically, when I travel, whether it's to wrestle, whether it's to whatever I do, I try to make a trip out of it. I try to make a mini vacation out of it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna wrestle. Nate's gonna wrestle in Arizona, which we did this like a month or two ago. We have to drive because of the chainsaws. So Nathaniel has to drive all the way to Arizona. Well, on the way, we're passing Roswell, New Mexico.
You gotta stop there.
So we gotta stop there. When I was training under Funaki in Texas, what the fuck? That's where Texas Chainsaw Massacre was filmed. Like, there's the OG gas station just right there. There's the OG house, and then all the other houses. So Texas was a lot of fun. And one of my favorite places to go to was definitely the gas station from the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And now it's set up just like it was. It is like, it's not a running gas station, but it's just the building. But now inside the gas station, it's just like a gimmick shop. But then on the side of the gas station, it's like a big grill and a barbecue pit. So you have Texas style barbecue, but it's kind of funny because.
Did you eat there? Please tell me you ate there.
1,000%. I had the meat and the chili.
Nice.
They have brisket, and so they have the barbecue spot, so it's all just one building. But then in the back, they have these like cabins now, and you could stay the night. So what did I do?
You booked a room for the night.
And I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In
You have
their,
to.
they had, I dare say they had the DVDs, and you could bring them to the room. And I watched the OG Texas Massacre movie as I was there, and I'm not gonna lie, it got spooky at night.
I would imagine. I would
Yeah.
imagine. Is there any place else that you guys would like top of the list, check off your bucket list of crazy fucking places to go?
So we're not actively, like, Nate's because of my CRPS. He stepped away from wrestling, but he's slowly, dipping his toe, slowly getting bookings here or there. Like, he really is like my in-home nanny and taking care of me. So, like, he isn't actively taking bookings as much as he should. And but when he does, there's going to be so many numerous places we want to, like, we always are going to look up something. Like, going to one of our wrestling bookings, like, out in the West, we passed Texarkana, and that's where a freaking serial killer lived, and he never got caught. Like, if you Google it, in the 1950s, there was a guy that would, it was the 1940s, I believe, or 50s. It would kill lovers in their vehicles, like kids that would pull over
Oh
and try to
yeah,
make
yeah.
out.
I've heard of this. I don't know the name offhand, but yes.
We just drive through the motherfucking town all the time, and I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's stop there. And then if you drive just 30 minutes south of that, there's sightings of Bigfoot and the Boggy Creek Monster. And so it's just like, you just do a little research, and you're like, you don't realize how many cool places you pass as you travel. If you're going to travel as a wrestler, you might as well hit up the cool spots. And that's definitely what we do. But moral of the story is, when I'm medically cleared to wrestle and I'm actively wrestling, the sky's the limit. But one of the things I would love to do before the year's out is to go to Salem, Massachusetts. Like, that's one of the things.
That has always intrigued me. We've been in Mass as my little niche family here, actually, in studios, whatever. We were up there because we're baseball fans as well, so we try to do a stadium different each year, and we were in Boston, and I know, still that's like 8 hours difference, but we were that damn close, and we were coming back like, why the fuck didn't we go to Salem? Because we're kind of
right.
We dabble with it, but that's some place that you should have been to.
Well, okay, so I agree with what you said. Oh, 8 hours difference, that's not that bad. That's the point. Like, okay, so when I was in New York the last month doing one of my first meet and greets that I've done since my injury, I looked up Salem, Massachusetts, and I was like, oh, this is like a 7-hour drive. That's not bad.
Right.
Like, as in, like, I need to add that to the trip. So when I go back to New York, hopefully, if I go back in October, November, I know it's going to get really cold, but if I do another thing in New York, I'm just going to do the extra 7-hour trip up north, and I'm just going to make a
knock it off.
Yep, you might as well.
This is the hardest question wrestling wise you're going to get from me. You essentially been in the biz since you were 18, this, that, and the other. Wrestling changes all the time, for the good, the bad, the ugly, this, that, and the other thing. What would you like to see just wasted away from wrestling? Because we both brought up Carney a little bit once in a while. Sometimes you get that yet in wrestling. What can we get rid of if we can just wave it away?
Honestly, like, okay, so it's going to be very controversial, but I feel like people need to focus more so on gimmicks as opposed to toe touches. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
yep.
Okay, so I'm going to digress because growing up as an athlete, I respect the athleticism. Growing up in cheer and dance, I respect the flips. I respect it, but I feel like people are hurting themselves, and I feel like there's a spot for that guy, and then there's a spot for that girl, but the whole roster doesn't need to be trying this, because not everyone can do toe touches, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's too many flips, and people need to focus on the old school gimmicks.
Yeah.
Like,
listen, this is not Dahlia saying this. This is Mark, and I say this every fucking week. I love Ricochet as a human being, as an athlete, and everything, but you don't have to do 17 flips just to drop a damn elbow. It doesn't make sense. Give me some more storytelling in the match, essentially. Yes.
like, honestly, wrestling is what it is. Like, you don't have to make it into something cringe. You don't
Right.
have to make it that unrealistic. Like, you're telling me I just did this power move on you, and then all of a sudden someone's gonna pop up and then do a backflip. Are you fucking kidding me? If we're in a dead ass fight and someone does that, no one does that in a fight.
Yep. You spoke of Bobby Blaze earlier, and actually we had him on for a spotlight like this again,
Oh,
and
awesome.
and he said the same damn thing as that we just said, essentially the same thing. He's like,
You can kind of
stop.
tell who raised me, if so to speak. You
Right.
can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bobby Blaze is installment in my brain and in my upbringing. Funaki, Rikishi, but then even with Nathaniel, when you have him on, he'll tell you one of his first upbringings was training for a couple months under Rip Rogers at OVW.
I know
And
Rip as well. Yeah.
yeah, and you know how they talk. These old school guys talk, and it's just like that's kind of like what you see with me and Nathaniel.
Yep.
I respect it. I think there's a spot for it, but I don't think everyone should be doing that.
Not a 2-hour TV show. I agree.
Right.
All right, a couple more, and then we'll wrap this up. I mean, we could speak for probably 3 hours.
Two Pisces in one room. What shall happen?
Right. You said there's a possibility you going to New York soon. What else is going on in your?
Right.
I understand. It's a struggle, and we're gonna slowly get there. But you're doing shit. You're fucking on every podcast,
Right.
by the way. You're everywhere right now, which is awesome, which is good. But what else is going on with you?
Too. Well, okay, so the whole setup was I'm not physically where I want to be after getting out of the wheelchair with the weight gain. I've lost 100 pounds, which is great that I put on. That's a lot of weight. I feel like I hide my weight really well, though, because even though I did put on 100 pounds, I was still in a size medium. Like, I'm a 5'2" little girl, but I hide my weight very well, I think. So, like, I've drastically lost a lot of weight, and I'm back into a size small now, but I want to still continue my fitness journey, right? So right now, I'm focused on battling CRPS for the rest of my life, trying to pain manage. Like, right now, I could be at a level 3, but when we get off the phone and I go to the gym, I could be at a level 8 tonight screaming. Right. And it's all about pain management. So besides my fitness journey, besides trying to get medically cleared to wrestle, all I can do right now is do podcasts, do appearances. So I decided to dip my toe this past month and flex a little. And I was invited to go to Wrestle Bash last year, the Wrestle Bash 1, but I had to turn it down. So Wrestle Bash 2 happened, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to show people that even though I'm handicapped, even though I'm not able to wrestle, I'm going to start making appearances. So I got booked on Wrestle Bash. I got booked on to go to the Wrestling Universe store to do a signing with Alicia Fox. Like, I got to make appearances, and then I was booked on and pre-approved to go to StarCast, but then my table got axed because of someone else's drama. But I'm not going to touch on that. I'm just going to say another person on my table had a lot of cancellation bullshit, and no one knew about it, and basically
we'll leave it at that. Yeah,
we'll leave it at that. Basically, I just wanted to. I can't medically be allowed to wrestle, and I make appearances. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I mean, this weekend, like I said, Nate's not actively taking bookings, but the few little bookings that he is doing, like there's one in Tennessee this weekend, and then one in Ohio. I'm gonna make appearances at those 2 shows coming up, but right now I'm in talks of doing a lot of different conventions are coming up that I'm going to be doing. Yep. Whether it's horror conventions, I'm going to be at Scarefest in Kentucky with Ari Mahoff. He's going to use our chainsaw for the 3rd year in a row for his photo ops. Leatherface himself. There's this one in Philly. I think it's in North Carolina or something, or in Philadelphia. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. And when the time comes, I'm just going to have to advertise it. But there's a couple different different big cons that I'm going to be involved in. But I am doing a virtual signing right now online that everyone can see on my social media if they want to purchase a signed autograph. You guys can check that out. I'm actively on my OnlyFans where I interact with my fans and do custom VIPs. But where I'm at right now is just doing small little appearances here and there, and hopefully I'll be medically cleared to wrestle soon. That's the goal.
Well, that was my next thing, because I thought you would catch on to that. I'm just being a dick. Lead right into your socials and give all that away, because I know you're newly as well on TikTok, but you're blowing up on TikTok as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Black Dahlia 47, which ironically is the year Elizabeth died. So if anyone wants to know what the 47 means, I'm fucking weird. I'm on OnlyFans, TikTok, Facebook. Unfortunately, Facebook wouldn't let me put Black as the first name. So on Facebook, my name's flipped as Dahlia Black. So that's annoying, but whatever. But there are a couple fake Instagram accounts of me. So just the one with the most followers is me.
Yeah, the one that we're going to be tagged in this interview and everything like that. You know, we tag you on everything. So we got the right ones. Just follow all those that when we post and everything. So, yeah. Dahlia, this has been very educational. So make sure you guys, any way that you can support Dahlia, do it. Have it by socials or anything like that. But you also have some merch too, by the way. That's what I forgot to tell you. You still have your don't you have a pro wrestling tees?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And it's hard to find. Like, if you guys need the link, just reach out to me. But if you do go to Pro Wrestling Tees and find me as the Black Dahlia on there, I have like 12 t-shirts. So when you guys type in Dahlia or Black Dahlia and only 1 or 2 t-shirts pop up, just click on the page and it'll bring up all of my chains. I mean, I'm talking, I have gimmick shirts from Sexy Gym Time to there's not 2 things you can do about it, nothing, and deal with it. One of my catchphrases, but then also you got a Slut Burger t-shirt. So there's varieties.
And the final question, because we get them sent to us every once in a while. Okay. Is there a way that, say, they can't find you on Pro Wrestling Tees, or they are fucking lazy, and I'll call out my fans all the time, they're fucking lazy. They love DMing you. If they reach out to you and say, hey, can I get an 8x10 or this or that, would you work with them through that way as well?
My DMs do get backed up, so it's very hard to communicate with me.
See, I fucking told you guys. They say this to me all the time.
The best way to communicate with me is probably on my OnlyFans, and that is a subscription fee, but I always respond to my DMs on there. But if you guys are not subscribed to my OnlyFans and DMing me on there, if I come across your DM or if it doesn't get lost in the algorithm, I am on night shift. So if I open up a message, it could be at 3 a.m. and I'm at work. And then by 3 p.m., I'm off work and I'm exhausted trying to sleep. I forgot about your DM. And now it's already lost behind 20 other messages, you know? So
this is true life, by the way, too.
Yeah. And it's
until we legit exchanged phone numbers, it was like, hey, this has happened. And a week later, you're like, oh, fucking yeah, I'll do it.
Exactly. And it sucks because it comes off as very rude on my part. And I'm like, I swear to God, guys, if I didn't have CRPS and chronic pain, and if I didn't work night shift, it probably would still be this way because it's fucking wrestling. That's why we have our private numbers for business, and then that's why we have our emails. Like, damn.
Yeah. Did I forget anything? Is there anything else you want to bring up? This is your time.
Honestly, we covered everything. We covered the CRPS. We covered my backstory of shitting in a cup. Love saying that on podcasts. We love it. We do. We love trauma bonding.
We do.
Honestly, guys, if you want to be a professional wrestler, fucking do it. You just gotta be consistent. It's not about just one sacrifice and then it happens. It's about consistency, and it's about what are you willing to do. And I believe everyone's dreams are valid, and if you want it, you just find a way to make it happen. And have a good shoot job, have good health insurance through your shoot job, grind, wet wipes, you're good.
Styrofoam cups.
Styrofoam cups. McDonald's sells drinks for $1. There's two purposes, for the in and the out.
You killed me.
I'm just real. It sucks.
Dahlia, when you get cleared,
Yeah.
you're coming back on, and we're going to rip this shit up about your first match.
That. Let's fucking manifest that, man.
And it's going to rock.
Honestly, everyone's going to be crying and shitting their panties, and it's going to be great.
And if it's close, I would say it like this, depending weather, because watch, it'll be like December that you get cleared and it's in Texas. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to drive from Pennsylvania to Texas. For the first 8 hours of it, I'm in 8 feet of snow.
Let's
fucking do it anyway.
Oh my God, you're so awesome. Honestly, but on the record for everyone, I am in a 6-month therapy sesh where I'm doing all these very painful rehab things, like these deep screaming massage things. It's intense. It's
horrible.
Torture. Oh, it's bad. If you ever Google chiropractor videos and you see the popping ones, well, there's this other videos that the chiropractors do where you see the massage, like they find the pressure point and it makes them, think that, but CRPS. Think that, but on the, like, it feels like someone's breaking my bone. It's bad. So keep my mental health in everyone's mind, keep my physical health in everyone's mind, but I'm going to be doing these intense things for the next 6 months. So let's shoot for being cleared at the end of this journey, guys.
And then we're all going down. We're going to be surrounding her and just going apeshit crazy. And then hopefully somebody gets caught by a chainsaw.
My mom and dad and sister won't be there, so you guys can be there for me. And that will mean the world.
We'll be there for you, doing crazy shit.
It would mean a lot.
Thank you once again. This has been a blast. It's been educational and then just actually heartwarming. Dad moment of the podcast. You're an amazing human being. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. You're an awesome person, too. And thank you so much for having me on and letting me tell my truth and my story.
This is Foreman Red James, and you're listening to Mark, the piece of shit garbage man on Can Crushers.
Well, it was great getting the love from the Black Dahlia, the Chainsaw Queen, but apparently Red James still is not one of my fans. How about that interview? How about everything that the Black Dahlia goes through? This is unbelievable. Guys, really, really kind of do your homework and do some research on CRPS because that's crazy. That's crazy, the amount. Her telling me that, I could cut off my arm in that much pain, multiply it by 100. It gave me, I don't know, I got sick to my stomach just thinking of what this poor girl goes through day in and day out. Yet, smile on her face, battles life, kicks life in the ass to continue to essentially get cleared and start wrestling, getting back around wrestling again and everything. So unbelievable. And fourth wall, what a sweetheart. Man, we talked a while prior and after the interview, just catching up and, trying to figure out when we're going to meet and everything. Kind of have a date already. I have a date with the Black Dahlia. Hopefully she doesn't kill me. But yeah, super excited to meet her. Listening to this, Black Dahlia, if you're listening, I'm a hugger, so we got to do that real quick. Man, that's just really, really cool that we're going to get meet up. Guys, follow her, support her, watch what she does in this business, because holy shit, with that drive and determination she has to get out of that wheelchair, get back to training, get back to this, and just power through. And bubbly, happy, her time it was morning, my time it was night. It was just crazy, awesome, super hyped up interview the whole time. So, yeah, I can only imagine Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.